Hello, my name is Exabu, and this is Unity of Command 2 Crusader mission on hard. 3, 2, 1, go. And so, this actually might be, well, not might be, this is definitely the most difficult mission of the Desert Rats DLC up to this point, and I really struggled with it. Actually, I had to restart the entire campaign because one of the big elements to succeeding in this one, and it's actually not that difficult if you're prepared well for it, you know what you're doing, is not losing too many troops. Look at these New Zealand infantry, they're very valuable. Look at some of these mobile troops, some of these units are new, but some of them are not. Plus, it's very critical. By the way, look at me using rear guard on that infantry. It's very important here on your first turn to like distract the Germans and the Italians, especially the German panzers, from attacking any of your valuable troops, and to lure them with look at that double artillery motorized infantry. I lured that little enemy tank division into touching it there with counterattack, so that now like I can actually launch a suppressive fire on it and damage it significantly and destroy it, as you can see. Right, so these are the kinds of tricks you need to do, but in addition to actually saving your troops, it's critical that you upgrade your HQs, in this case, the 13th Corps, because, well, the 30th Corps, this is the first mission it appears in, but the 13th Corps is your West's, like the Saharan force, right, so, which you get right from the start, right, so don't be stingy. If you get a chance to add command points, get command points. As you've seen, rearguard is critical. Like, pushing infantry into that area, which you've seen, is a real, like, honey to these enemy tanks, and giving rearguard, like, prevents them from being destroyed. And actually is a very good way to distract enemy tanks and maybe do something else and push forward in other areas, maybe cut enemy supply. And as you can see, I'm taking City Rezeg. Important, very important to get a counterattack there and get it with a strong unit that the Germans will not have an easy time destroying or kicking out. Even so, it might not be a terrible idea if you take it early, like turn 2, or in this case, turn 3. It might be a good idea to actually get a rear guard there as well. So look at what your situation here is, but as you can see, I've managed to prevent the Germans actually from getting anywhere. But as you can see, my general overall movement is towards the east, towards the west, right? So my ultimate goal here is to, well, cut the enemy supply, right? Like, essentially the Germans, if you look at the, Africa Corps and the Italians, essentially, if you look at the enemy supply, you'll see that there are 2 airfields the enemy troops are fed from. This is City Rezeg and Solemn. Actually, Solemn is one of the reasons you might want to use a naval bombardment card, even though it has better uses in this campaign. And so, like, very early, take Solemn very early. So, and prevent the Africa Corps HQ from doing what it is doing right now, so providing supply to all of its out-of-supply troops. But you've got these 2 airfields, and you've got these 2 sources of supply coming from the west, right? So all of these truck supplies. And so essentially your goal here, yes, damage their mobile troops as much as possible. As you can see, it's turn 5. By turn 4, I actually destroyed pretty much all of their tanks. And so you must destroy, but it's not just the tanks, even their motorized infantry, even the Italian motorized infantry is pretty nasty. And so you need to destroy as much of their motorized troops by early in the mission, right? So while still all of the objectives matter, and cut their supply off. So I had different ideas about how to crack this mission, like during my first playthrough in this campaign, when I tried to take Crusader with all the mistakes I did before this mission. And I tried it with naval bombardments, so maybe do some naval bombardments and break out of Tobruk. So, and I will do that later, like it's kind of important, so I will push towards Gazala. Mostly, but at this point, it was mostly to maybe make it easier for me to take Gazala and improve my supply situation in the western parts of the map, because as you can see, it's dire. I feel like in this playthrough, maybe I wasn't very clever about using my supply hubs, but I did what I did, and maybe, yeah, but as you can see, I can actually do stuff. And now the AI supply is not yet cut, but will soon be. Okay, now it's cut completely. So, and this point, I'm just pushing Gazala. I think turn 6 is the deadline for Gazala, and I think at this point it was a bit of a kind of hanging on a thread. But as you can see, I've managed to take the objective, and at this point, yeah, pretty much everything is mine. Bardia is not a very urgent objective, and I'm getting craploads of South African reinforcements from the east, making it like a no-brainer. Bihaheim, or Bihaheim, whatever, is a bit of an annoying thing. So it's a bit of an annoying mission objective. And I had to take some losses because it's a town, and the enemy is well entrenched, and it has an engineer step, so it's a pretty nasty piece of work, and it took me some losses to actually kick them out. But Bardia is not going to be difficult. Like, you may remember Bardia from the Compass 1 mission, and it was it was tricky in terms of the terrain. Because it's surrounded by ridges through which you can't attack, so you have to keep that in mind. So use T to see your terrain, and plan your attacks and attack directions accordingly. But once again, Bardia should not pose too much of a problem. Also, yeah, by the way, I will, as you can see, I'm pretty successful in this mission, so, nothing really is going to happen. By the end of this mission, I will have completely wiped out the enemy here, so it's not that difficult of a mission. Oh, that was not nice. It wasn't that difficult of a mission if you are prepared well, another important point to keep in mind, both the 30th and the 13th Corps will be with you for the rest of the DLC, regardless of which branch you decide to choose. So after second El Alamein, which is the mission after it, mission actually I personally like more, is you will get a choice. As usual, for 50 prestige, you will get a choice of whether to go, push west or do the historical stuff and be more careful. And so in both the cases, you will see the 30th, especially the 30th Corps will be everywhere, and the 13th Corps. Where am I going with this? So make sure to, if you see any of the units that will not participate in anything else, right, so strip them of everything. So remove all the steps except for the last one. Remove all the specialists from these units, so that actually you can actually exploit, save essentially prestige later in the mission, and have all those specialists and reinforcement steps at the disposal of those HQs. And as you can see, this is the last enemy unit dead. I've cleared this map, and essentially in the last 2 turns, I will be just removing all of these specialist steps and reinforcement steps from my units. As you can see, what I'm doing right now, the South Africans are not going to participate, and having those steps is much more valuable in later missions. All right, this is it for Crusader. I hope it was useful, and see you next time.